Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders stalwarts interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulae for many. And this is what we aim to make of these sessions, that are a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry giant on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Vikas Kumar. A warm welcome on FaceTime with Leaders, Mr. Vikas.
Thank you, Sunny. It's a pleasure to be here on the FaceTime.
Pleasure, sir. Mr. Vikas is a global business leader and an experienced IT professional with nearly 3 decades of experience in Edtech, IT data centers, infrastructure service delivery, industrial IoT, IT governance, program and project management, and mentorship of young aspiring leaders. He has worked with various industrial clients in sectors like manufacturing, mining, banking, retail, entertainment, oil and gas, telecom, software, and in the educational arena. He has worked in various senior IT leadership roles, wearing multiple hats in IT development and delivery, sales, team leadership, risk and IT compliance, and governance, and has rich experience in relationship management with CEO and Global CIOs for his clients. He has accomplished numerous feats during his professional life, one of which is spreading delivery teams in different geo-locations. He has honed his skills by working with top 20 Fortune clients located in the US, Europe, South America, Middle East, Australia, and APAC regions. Currently, he is the CEO of Cascer Academy, an online tutoring platform for academic school students in India, Gulf countries in the Middle East, and in the USA. He spearheads the company by setting an execution of strategies, building up products from scratch, guidance and execution of mission and vision of the company. So, Mr. Vikas Kumar, how have you come about founding your own startup? And could you please let our viewers know about your journey?
Yeah, thanks, Sunny. Thanks for the introduction. Well, yes. So back 3 years, when we go back to 2020, when the COVID pandemic hit us, right? And I think the COVID pandemic hit every corner of the world, right? And all of us were in a nearly shutdown mode. But luckily for us, we had the technology, we had the audio visual means, to connect with each other, right? And somehow, all the work environment still sustained, right? But the impact that we felt was in the schools and colleges, right? There were initial hiccups, when they started going to the online mode, using audio and video mode. But there were difficulties, and I think it took some time, for the children and the tutors, to connect with each other. In a nutshell, I would say that the learning what the students got from the tutors was not effective. Right? In fact, even the tutors were also not ready, to drastically move, from offline to an online mode of teaching.
Right.
So that was the time, when I thought a lot about this, that, okay, this is the time for me, an opportunity, that is there, that exists, to address some of these deficits, in this online mode of teaching. So that's when, I thought about it myself and made a transition to the next phase of my career. Right? And we started working on a product, on a platform that not only addresses the audio video mode of learning, but then there are other aspects to it also. We thought about that, okay, why we not add some more elements in our platform apart from normal teaching. Those elements could be collaboration among the students, right? The assessments and the evaluations, and counseling, all those kind of sessions. So these are the elements I'm just talking about, right? And apart from that, we also saw that somehow these tools, these elements which I just talked about, they somehow exist in the market, right? But that still does not addresses the gap. Like we wanted to leverage the technology, to make the learning more results oriented, right? To make it more better outcome, right? So that the students can learn more quickly and they can understand the scenarios much quickly. So we are working on very exciting technologies, like AR, VR, and MR, right? We try to leverage these technologies, so that over the next few years, couple of years, once we have our infrastructure platform, 5G networks ready, in our country, we can leverage these technologies, what we are trying to embed in our platform. In the sense that imagine a scenario, like let's say you have a holographic teacher, in front of you, and the student, he goes it, he can experience all this VR technology, right? He can assess all this reality using AR, VR, MR, and can work on some experiments, which I think it becomes very difficult, to perform in a real world scenario, right? So we can do all the simulations, all this technology, for the students. And the learning will be very much easier for the students once they start going through this technology, in the sense that they will have a 3D model, in front of themselves, right? They can understand much better, like, okay, how all these things work, right? So for example, I'll just give you one small example. One of the kids, a 3-year-old kid, asked me that, okay, why the moon is not black? Why the moon is always white in color?
Right.
So using this technology, yeah. So using this technology like AR and VR, we can pretty much explain them that, okay, why do you see the moon always white in color? Why you don't see it black, right? So this is a very nutshell I'm talking about. And so these are the elements, which we want to bring in, in our learning system, in our learning solutions. And that will help, the students, the community at large, very well. And one of the big advantages, what we will see is that we want to address the digital divide also, among the urban areas and the rural areas in the country, right? When this pandemic hit and when all the classes over the country went into online mode, there were a lot of issues in the rural areas, in terms of internet connectivity. Right? Students were not able to, crossly embed themselves into that learning environment and all that. But we believe that in the coming years, once we have this new technology of 5G coming into play, we'll be able to address a lot of these issues, right? So the digital divide between urban areas and rural areas, that will become very, very less. And we intend that, okay, this technology using our platform, we want to spread it across, not only in India, but, outside India also, all that, over the next few years. So that's what, really was the driving factor, for me, to get into this, learning platform. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So, Mr. Vikas, what are the most important learnings of your life that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah. So I have almost like 30 years of experience. And for the young viewers, I would say that, people who just start in their life, in their career, that build a strong foundation, early in your career, earlier in your life career. Okay. Number, when I say that strong foundation, it could be any skill, right? It could be a technical skill, which you like, which you are passionate about, what you want to learn, and work really hard on that. And another thing I would like to say is, which is applicable for all the age groups, including myself also, right? That is embrace change. be ready to change. Because the technology is changing very fast, and whatever skills or technical skills I had like 10 years back, 15 years back, that might not seem so much relevant today. And the revolution, the digital revolution, what we have seen in this last 40, 50 years, right, is been pretty much very fast. The adaptability, the accessibility of all these technology advances, and the implementation of technology across the industries. When I say industries, I mean all the industries, like IT, banking, manufacturing, financials, be it agriculture, transportation, logistics, any industry. That has been very fast, and it has been very effective, for all the corporates, in terms of driving their efficiencies, their productivity, and of course, the financial growth also. And other than this, embracing change, I would also say that you should also be ready for focus on the things, the areas which you like most. Focus is very important, in the sense that, okay, if I am trying to learn new skill and I want to implement this new skill, be prepared to implement and adopt that skill, that new technology every day, right? Whenever you get up in the morning, just think of yourself that, okay, what is it I'm going to achieve today by end of the day today, right? So I used to aspire a lot of young leaders. I used to mentor a lot of young leaders. So one of the things I used to tell them that, okay, whenever you come to work, you spend more than 8 to 10 hours a day. And before you depart for home, try to think of yourself that, okay, what did you achieve today? Right? I spent around 10 hours sitting in front of a laptop or computer or doing something, right? I was in conversation with others. I was in discussion with others. I was in meeting, right? What is the outcome you achieve, in all these activities, right? So that is also one thing I say that, okay, be focused, right? Embrace change, because change is something, you will always have to adapt to it, right? There are a lot of advances that is being happening in our society, in the world, all over. So be ready for it. And last thing which I would like to mention is be passionate about the things you do. Right? Don't do any work, half-heartedly. Be passionate. Give your full heart and mind into it, whatever you want to achieve, and surely, the success will be yours.
Rightly said. So, Mr. Vikas, you have earned several awards for your commendable work. Which of them was the most difficult to achieve and why? And how did you go about achieving it?
Okay. So when I started earlier in my career, I was mostly into the technical roles that I was playing. And in the technical area, I got a lot of awards, be it customer service related awards. And other than that, I also did a lot of volunteering work, teaching elementary education, in the villages and in the rural communities. I spent quite some time there, right? And I got a lot of social recognition on that area also. But I would like to mention one of the service recognition awards, from my operational side, from my operational experience, is that I had a top 10 client, top Fortune 10 client, and it was a very difficult client for me in the sense that they had a lot of applications, customers all over the globe, right? And I had my teams sitting here in India, in US, and in Europe too, right? And which were working around the clock. And it took me several months to, get all these teams, up to perfection, right? To ensure flawless delivery, of the IT systems, that, we were supporting back then. And it was a lot of groundwork, working with each of the teams, that they should ensure, human error-free delivery, right? And one of recognitions I got, from this delivery team setting up and providing system support was that your team finally performed very well, and all you guys have done a very good job. And the outcome of all this was that there were a lot of business that was coming in for the company where I was working in earlier. So I think personally that was very great recognition for my hard work, which me and my team had done for one of these clients. So which I would like to mention here, which I just talked about.
Inspiring, truly inspiring. So when and how did you develop an interest in the field of sustainability?
Yeah, so sustainability, I would say that it starts from the home, from a very young age. And my parents inculcated this sustainability in the sense that let's talk about energy conservation at home, right? Okay, if you don't need any lights or air conditioning at your home, it's better you switch off, right? And apart from that, avoiding wastage at your home, right? So I would say that all these things start at a very young age, and the good thing is these are being taught in the schools also right now. And over the years, then you try to understand what is all this about sustainability, right? So we can think about is that pollution, right? Air pollution. How do we control that? Right? Climate change. That's also one of the big factors. Right? How do we address all these problems? So now, in terms of corporate governance, I think now it's been a mandate, for all the companies that okay, you have to participate in some of the ESG activities and all that. Right? So ESG has become pretty much, very much the norm. The sustainability portion of it that has become very much the norm of it. And I think this sustainability word is now being understood by everyone, by all the people in the world. I think everyone is now aware that, okay, what is global warming is all about, right? And what is the pollution is all about, be it air pollution, noise pollution, right? And water pollution, right? How do we address all these problems, right? And we can see that in the construction industry, a lot of green buildings are coming up, right? And which takes care of a lot of minimal, energy, a lot of energy efficiencies are there. Energy efficient buildings have been built up. Right? So sustainability is something which has been inculcated in everyone, each one of us. Now the question is that, okay, we as being responsible citizens in the corporate world, how do we take this further? Right? So I think we have to get started, in our corporate world, be it terms of educating the public, right? Educating all the society at large, educating the people who live in the rural areas, and who live in areas where there is not much of education, not much of accessibility, to clean drinking water, and all these areas. So we try to educate them, right? So these are the measures we have to take, and talk about it. And I think everyone is talking about it. So from a corporate point of view, we have to drive all these measures to see that there are some effective solutions that are there for the society and which will benefit us, all across the world. Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Vikas, what are the most significant changes you have seen in the IT industry during your professional life? And what are your thoughts on the changes with the advent of IoT, big data, blockchain, artificial intelligence, ML, Web 3.0, etc.?
Okay. So I have seen a significant lot of changes. I would say that I will count myself as the lucky generation, in the sense that we have seen the advent of computers, right in front of us, from the 80s onwards, and internet was born, for consumption of the general public. Though internet was invented long way back, several decades back, but it was very much limited to the governmental organization. So I would say that, okay, with the advent of internet, there has been very drastic improvements in the technology. We have seen the mobile applications, mobile technology come up. And with the arrival of the mobile technology, mobile application, they have made our lives very much easier. Right? Now, there are a lot of things which you can do, sitting at your home. Right? And that's one of the big advantages of this mobile technology. And then we have seen the coming of IoT. IoT helps us, for in the sense that, okay, you can get all the data, from different devices, right? So when I say the applicability of IoT is in many industries, right? So if I talk about transportation and logistics, right, you tend to get data, from all the various touch points among the logistics, right? And then you can optimize the data, right? You can do a lot of optimization once you get this data in front of you. You can see where are the bottlenecks, and how you can further automate some of the things. So IoT has automated a lot of things. And in the past several years in India also, we have seen many industries adopt IoT in some way or the other. Like they are trying to optimize a lot of things. And then I would say the big data. So the big data, if you see after the launch of the internet, a lot of data has been collected and generated. But all this data is there in a structured and unstructured format, right? So big data kind of helps us, how do we get a meaningful data out of all this unstructured and structured data, right? So there has been a lot of improvements coming up in this big data area, and that in terms of like machine learning, and also in terms of deep learning, and also in artificial intelligence, right? So which we are seeing, coming up. One of the advantages what we have seen in the recent few months, I would say, is that generative artificial intelligence, in the sense that now all this data which was not available to the public at large, to the real internet consumers, is that you can now take advantage of this artificial intelligence and come up with some effective answers in real time. Right? So we would see that, okay, over the next couple of years, there will be a lot of generative artificial intelligence data being collected, and which will be consumed by us, by consumers, internet consumers. That also will be helpful. Another area which I would like to touch point is the launch of the social media platform, which was not there 15 years or 20 years back. I think it was already there, but in a very rudimentary or elementary way. But now it's become very much interactive in terms of audio, video mode, and all that. And so we will see all this advancement coming up in the next several years. And also we will see Web3 technology. Web3 technology is sense that where I as a user will have control over my data and privacy issues, which of course is right now not available with me on the internet, right? So if I put something on the internet, the whole data is out there in the public, right? The internet.
Absolutely.
Right. But how do I control it? Right? I want my data, which is there on the internet, to be visible to only some certain segment of people or only to some people. So that is something which we will expect to see coming in the Web3 technology over the next decade or so. And also for blockchain. Blockchain is something that is going to address a lot of security issues on their internet. And of course, security for financial institutions, there for them is number one priority, security, cyber security, cyber risks, and all that. So I think blockchain is going to address a lot of those kind of issues, right? That data which I have there on the cloud, on the internet, how do I make sure that it does not get altered or tampered with, without my knowledge?
Right.
So we will see a lot of these technologies developing in parallel, right? Blockchain, right? Generative artificial intelligence, right? And IoT has already started, trying to mature. We are also seeing a lot of this data coming in the automotive sector also. Automotive sector also are trying to use this artificial intelligence and how they can incorporate that. So over the next several years, we will see that, okay, all this technology will embed with us, right? The next generation, in the next 10, 15 years, we will have to live with all this technology, and it will be very exciting times, for each one of us, to leverage the use of this technology. Yeah.
Very insightful. With the advances of technology, don't you think e-waste would be a major concern?
Yes, definitely. E-waste is also a major concern, but I think that is one of the key factors which we have put in an ESG framework, right? Especially for IT companies, for companies who manufacture these tablets, devices, all these hardware devices. For them, ESG, like handling e-waste, is part of their ESG aspect also. Like, okay, how do we handle e-waste? It's exciting to see in my neighborhood, we have a lot of e-waste stations that have been set up, right? Where you can go and dispose of your any e-waste things like smartphones or a computer or a laptop, and all that. But I think this e-waste industry is also going to pick up in India. It has already been started. So we hope to see in the next few years, that e-waste will also be handled in a very responsible manner.
Okay, Mr. Vikas, what are your visions for the Indian corporate ecosystem in the capacity of corporate governance expert?
Over the last few years, I think Indian corporate governance has pretty much come up in a very good shape, in the sense that in the year 2013, Indian government passed the Companies Act, which had replaced a lot of laws in the Companies Act that was enacted way back in 1956, and which is in tune with the changing times, right? Because right now, all our companies have tend to go global,
Right.
And most of the companies, they compete with all these global companies, right? And with the government of India supporting that, okay, we want to reach the $5 trillion economy in the next couple of years, though the pandemic delayed it by a couple of years, but we will reach it in the next 3-4 years. I hope so. And we have to set up our standards, right, for corporate, right? We have to bring more transparency. We have to bring more accountability. We have to bring more responsibility in our corporate systems, so that we can compete with the global companies, right? Because we have seen that the global companies, when we try to compete with them, and when we try to have interaction with them, they have their own set of laws, which they have to meet for their respective countries, right? And so our Indian companies, we have to come up to some certain set of benchmark of rules and regulations, right, where we can very effectively compete with all these global companies. So now here, we as an independent directors, we can play a very good role here, right? And to bring more diversity, to bring their rich experiences, into this corporate framework, what we have in our country. So we will see more significant changes coming in, in our corporate systems, I think, over the next few years. So that would be, really good for our economy.
Mr. Vikas, we are building the global thought leaders community for cross-pollination of knowledge and a community of independent directors for having a better corporate governance in the country. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by WDCT?
I think this is a very fantastic idea. that a platform is being built where independent directors can come together and learn from each other. In terms of best practices, they adopt in the corporate governance meetings, and what are the effective solutions that have been implemented, right? And also in the ESG area. And I think this is a very good initiative that has been taken by WDC. And I hope that someday we will be able to meet, in person, other leaders also, from across the industries. And I think it is a very excellent idea, excellent initiative, taken by WDC to bring all the, like-minded people, independent directors to share their ideas, to share their experiences, and also come up with some suggestions, opinions, how to make the Indian corporate system more robust and more effective, more transparent, in front of the shareholders. So overall, a very good initiative. Yeah.
Thank you. So that was great conversing with you, Mr. Vikas, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire the future leaders. Thank you for joining us today, and we wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Thank you, Sunny. Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you very much.